What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Falcon Blues TV. It's your boy Sachin for Everton 2, Leicester City 0 at the KP. No, it's been a while. I made a video, just didn't get uploaded because we all are so busy. I've been really busy, but I've been watching the matches and now we're back. So I'm gonna quickly touch on the Chelsea match because I think that these two matches are they're the new page, one might say. So quickly addressing Chelsea. So that's when we first saw this new back four with Godfrey, Keane, Mina, and Holgate. Um, I think Keane is bang on the first center back. He has been tremendous. Shows what a little bit of patience can do to a player because he looks worth every single bit of that £25 million we paid for him in 2017 because he was imperious against Chelsea. There was, if Godfrey did let a cross in, which it wasn't often, Keane was there every time. He only missed one, and that was the one that Giroud skied over the bar. Otherwise, I think Keane must have kind of like 6 or 7 of them. So he was been immense. But the whole back four played well against Chelsea. I mean, against Chelsea, it was a reminiscent of last year's performance, and I'm sure I know Carla did talk about how we didn't win on equality but on our spirit. So we knew what we had to do and stuck to the tactics and got a clean sheet. Pickford made a couple great saves um, to keep us up. And so moving on to today, yesterday, excuse me, against Leicester, we keep the same lineup, bar Olsen in for Pickford. So you have Gylfi, Doucouré, Allan, Richie, and James. Or not James, sorry, Richie and Dom, because James is hurt. And Iwobi, couldn't forget about him, who's also been very, very good. I think he's one of the main first teamers now. And then you go to Leicester City, who's we all know is going to be a tough side. And I was a little surprised when the commentator said that Leicester have taken 15 of their 24 points away from home. Because, I mean, they could have gone top, as the commentator said, which were dreadful. They could have gone top if they won. They didn't. Now we're 1 point behind them in fifth. But we went there and we had a clear game plan. I thought for that first half, I mean, they had a couple chances. They had the Vardy chance. They had, who was it, Tielemans. I thought that was a minute and a half in the match. If that's on target, that's a goal. Olsen was not moving at all. That's a let off for us, but we'll take it. You need a bit of luck, and we had a bit of luck against Chelsea too with a couple of post. They cover their efforts in the post, but back to Leicester. So first half I thought was actually a pretty positive, even without the goal, because with possession, neither side really looked super threatening. You could argue that Leicester had a better start, which probably they did, but when we got the ball, we didn't look to panic. We retained possession pretty well, and it was kind of both teams feeling each other out for a bit. But then obviously 21st minute, Richarlison sent out a good ball from Iwobi to switch the play. It was kind of would have been a risky pass, but it got through. And Richarlison, I mean, we haven't seen him much this year, but we all know what he's capable of when he runs out of players. And Schmeichel, you could say he probably should have done a bit better, but I mean, what are you gonna do, Richie? What are you gonna do? Because I was actually talking this with a friend of mine. I was explaining, I was gonna talk about Aubameyang and Dom, about how Dom is literally better at everything than Aubameyang, other than maybe finishing. And then, but I want every time Dom's running at a player, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen here? Not the most exciting thing, but every time Richie drives at a player, it's like, take him on, get this shot off, because debut against Wolves. That he's just so good at Brighton, Palace. There's just so many examples of him just running at players, at the center back, not even players, the center back, and then they don't want to touch him because they know he can draw a foul. They know he's better technically than they are, so they don't want to dive in there and get embarrassed. And then Richie, I was talking about this with my buddy. I was like, I don't think anyone's as good as Richie as using the little angles and the little deflections and dummies. Because in Chelsea, his third shot, where it was his best shot of the match, again, Mendy had to go to his left to make the save. That was so clever because he's being patient, gets to a spot, and then uses the defender to hide to kind of dummy what he's doing, and then Mendy, great save, and he did that again yesterday and scored because he's driving, cutting to the middle. And then there, I think two, maybe three Leicester players that may have been in Schmeichel's sight, because I don't think Schmeichel saw that early. I mean, Schmeichel sees that, he's going to save it, as was showcased by the second goal he scored. But getting back to the first one, I don't think he sees it, and then he gets a weak hand to it and it gets in. But I was ecstatic because, I mean, Richie hasn't scored. We saw what happened against Chelsea with the penalty, and they get subbed off into sulking. So we need him. We need him to get a goal, because we know it's like Dom last year, the year before. We knew he's going to bring the hold-up play. We knew he's going to be good in the air, but we didn't know if he would get the goal. This year, it's Dom's flying. Richie is being his same old self, but just isn't getting the goal. So I'd love to see him getting this goal against Leicester, which he loves getting a goal against Leicester, by the way, and he can kick on now and go against Arsenal, because I was worried after the Chelsea match he doesn't get that penalty. He gets a few games. He's been in this rut in the best way. Like Bainesy said, how he was so fine with the striker taking a penalty because he understands what it does for their confidence. Similar thing, I think it would have done loads of wonders for Richie to score that penalty. But thankfully, he gets a very nice goal yesterday, and you saw him. He was everywhere, and I got really, really mad. It was second half. I'm going to jump ahead a little. When the commentators noticed Richie and Iwobi switch sides, and they were slagging off Richie for his defensive work, about how Iwobi, Yosi Perez came down the right. They need some support and bullshit like that. It's like, do they ever watch Richie? Do they know what he does? Do they know he can play center back, center mid, and then center forward all in about 20 seconds? Like, the clowns, absolute clowns. That made me really mad. That was by far the dumbest thing they said yesterday on NBC, and they said a lot of things that were stupid. So I just have to say that, because that's triggering. Put some respect on the boy's name, you know what I mean? Okay, enough about Richie, but as you can tell, I really like Richie. So I'm glad he got the goal. Dom had a header, maybe, he was kind of starved for service, but after that first goal, we kind of sat back a little and played the counter like we did against Chelsea, which is completely fine, I didn't think when it was 0-0 that Leicester had some threatening possession, but it was nothing like, oh my God, we're going to give up a goal here, I thought we were really solid. I mean, Alan is tremendous, and you saw his hammy go, and I fear the worst. Probably 2-3 months with the hammy tear. I haven't seen anything about that, but let's hope it's just not a tear, but I am not optimistic. But him and Doucouré were immense. I mean, I would have given my man of the match if Atlanta played the whole thing the way he was going, but it has to be Doucouré. I mean, he has 88 pass completions, like 13 recoveries, like most interceptions, most tackles, 100% dribble rate, 100% tackle. So like his tackle on I think Harvey Barnes in the box was he was man of the match by far, and he had a bad match a couple of weeks ago when he missed a header, which would have, I think, put us 2-0 up and would have won. I forget what match that was, but he had a dreadful match where he missed that sitter. And the last couple of matches we have really missed a player like him. We've missed a player that gets stuck in, does the dirty work, doesn't mind doing the dirty work. Like you looked at when Gomez came on, Gomez was poor. Gomez, you could tell his positioning is off. There's a time there's a ball when it was the second ball, and it was around the halfway point, or I can't even speak right now, midfield, and Gomez doesn't get goal side of him. He's literally in a line with him, so parallel, not goal side of him. Gomez he knows he's not winning that second ball because he's not even going for it. And then Gomez is surprised when the Leicester player turns and runs into our attacking half, and Gomez is now behind him, and Gomez is never going to. And I was thinking, isn't Gomez supposed to be one of the players that's the more intelligent ones on our team? Who doesn't use his natural abilities, but uses rather clever play like a Barry. I was like, that was either laziness or just a switch off, and either one you can't have. You cannot have when you're protecting a 1-0 lead away from home. So I was really disappointed. I think that one instance sums up his performance yesterday. Yellow card he got on Harvey Barnes was a little unfair as a shoulder, but Lee Mason is an absolute clown. we should have booked Christian Fuchs. Christian Fuchs should have been sent off, but Christian Fuchs got his karma because stamps on Richie for the second goal, or for the free kick leading up to the second goal. Then they give up the corner off that free kick, and then we score off that corner when Fuchs is just standing there as Schmeichel makes 2 great saves. We'll get into that a little more. I just want to talk about Gomez for now. Sorry for jumping the gun. But so, talking about Gomez, and then, so defensively, he didn't do much. But then offensively, I didn't understand what his role necessarily was. It was, the midfield kind of was crowded. I didn't understand. Like, he's not going to be the box-to-box driver, and he's not going to be, he's supposed to be the sitter that Allan is, but I don't feel the same confidence that I do with Allan in possession. On possession, completely no. But even in possession, like Allan yesterday, he gets the ball in these little, 2-3 players around him, and he's somehow able, there's only one instance where he just passed it out of bounds. It was really sloppy early on, but mostly he's able to get out of these situations really cleverly. And if he does make a bad pass, he's running after the dude to get the ball back. It's not like, oh shit, here we go again, and then you don't have the pace to catch up. So we cannot run out there with Doucouré, Sigurdsson, and Gomez against Arsenal. I know Arsenal are shite, but we're still Everton. That if we go out there with that midfield 3, and maybe James is fit, we're not going to win that match at home. We're not going to do it. And it's unfortunate because the back 4 yesterday was a mess. Godfrey. I actually don't know if Luca Dean, I mean, obviously he does, it's 2 matches in to the Ben Godfrey left back experiment, but Carlo has a very interesting problem on his hands because where do you put Godfrey? He does not look out of place at all as a left back, even though he's not left-footed. Yes, he doesn't have the attacking quality Luca Dean has, but he's way better defensively. Nobody can argue that. You watched Chelsea at 5 interceptions yesterday. No one beats him for pace. His positioning is very good. And if he does, dive in there and get it wrong, he's not going to get beaten. He's going to get back there and get a shoulder to shoulder. And so I think we have a very interesting problem on our hand when our fullbacks come back. Because, Holgate, he got his first goal in the PL, second goal overall. And you saw what it meant to him and everybody else. Doucouré looked like the happiest man in the world, and I love that. I love the spirit. You can tell that these guys really like each other now. It's not forced. You can tell when it's forced. Arsenal, you can tell. But going back to the back 4, it's just we have good problems to have for the first time in a while. Our form's picking up. Even though our fixture list is getting tougher, we had a couple good results, and now with this back 4 that nobody thought would ever, be a thing, thanks to Delph's hammy. I hate you, Fabio Delph, but shout out to your hammy for going because you gave us this. We have a very makeshift back 4 that's class. 2 clean sheets against Chelsea and Leicester, can't really be changing that. So I'm hoping. If Seamus is back this weekend, you have to put Mason in that destroyer like we did last year against United, because I don't want Doucouré there because you're sacrificing Doucouré's better attributes of being able to drive forward, being able to provide options and kind of be that jack of all trades. And I think Holgate has shown he can put a shift in there. So I think Carlo's not going to mess around with this 3 at the back nonsense anymore. If he does, it's going to be 85th minute when we need to see out the match. But it's going to be an interesting dilemma now with Allan out, and maybe James comes back with a calf injury. I could see it, but so that's a question for Carlo. I'm not even going to speculate on the lineup. We'll find out. But moving on to the second half, we're 1-0 up. Kind of, not much happening in the first 15 minutes. Leicester start to get impatient. They make a few changes, and then, like I said, we're just hit on the counter. Richie gets stamped on. I don't know how he hurt his hand. But Christian Fuchs he's never committed a foul in his life if you ask that lad. So, fuck him. Innocent as he can be, according to Fuchs, but we get a corner, as I said, and then I didn't see Schmeichel after that goal. I didn't see him complaining. And if it was me or my team, I'd be livid. Keane had a great header for the initial save. That was top class for both Schmeichel and Keane. Dom probably could have done better, but you don't expect. You were trying to get it on target, and then Schmeichel, I don't know. I legitimately do not know how he saved that second effort from Dom. And then Fuchs standing there the whole time, just watches Holgate, who's never switched off. Very, very sharp play from him to get his first. But from the Leicester perspective, that goal is 10 times worse than the first goal they gave up. I mean, you just cannot be allowing the opposition to win 3 consecutive balls in your box. Schoolboy defending. Schoolboy's static. It's embarrassing. And I mean, I'm very glad for Mason to get his first goal. And, that essentially killed the game for us. It didn't kill the game for us. But it put us in a very commanding position. But from a Leicester perspective, it's atrocious. And they're not title challengers, not by any stretch of the means, because you cannot be taking 9 of your 24 points at home and expect to be contending, especially with performances like that. I mean, they had no plan B. Carlo's tactics completely bossed them off the pitch. I mean, they made a late charge. They had that penalty. Lee Mason had another mare. It should have been a yellow for Ayoze's little diving bitch. It should have been booked. They had that offside goal, which up the corner, which I don't know how I feel about that one. On one hand, you have a good line, because all 4 of the Leicester players that could have played that ball were offside. But on the other hand, is that really how we want to set up our core quarters? Lose the first ball and then just push up and have, pray that everyone else is offside? I don't know. So thankfully offside, clear as day. But I don't want to rely on the Lino for those kind of decisions. Just clear our lines, get it sorted with. But at the end of the day, it's a 2-0 win at the King Power against a tough team. So we do have good results against Leicester usually. I know we have decent luck at the KP, and but with the season we've had, and the first 4 wins, then the terrible run of form where we can't beat Leeds, Newcastle, etc., and now we played Chelsea and Leicester and get 6 points. The season's back on the menu, and I think the next two matches are most important for our season, because right now we're 5th. We're 1 point off Leicester, 1 point off Southampton, I think 2 points off Spurs. But we play Arsenal, we're 15th. Then we play Man United in a quarterfinal to tie. And you beat Arsenal, all of a sudden you have 26 points after 14 matches. Very solid points per game ratio. Then you play Man United, who I hate playing in cups. Anyone who remembers Tony Martial and the Lukaku debacle in 2016 will know what I'm talking about. But you have to think that there is a sense of optimism moving forward now for the next 2 weeks. I mean, obviously it's a Christmas period and things can change on a dime. But I'm going to be cautiously optimistic here, and hopefully Arsenal, I'm going to take Arsenal 1 match at a time. Arsenal is at 3 points, but comes down to that defensive midfielder role and whether James is fit, if you ask me. But yeah, the final thoughts on yesterday's match. Man of the match has to be Doucouré. Has to be. Vital, immense, best game in a blue shirt for us. And I think it could be a turning point. Because, I mean, after the match, you saw Iwobi on Snap. In the locker room, you saw Mace celebrating. It was something with Dom. And when Iwobi took over in Nkunku's Insta a couple days ago, you can definitely tell that the spirit is really good. The spirit is good, and they're starting to play a little more relaxed on the field. They're not as tentative in a sense, it's more free-flowing, and the possession looks more comfortable. And I mean, it all can change on a dime, but let's hope. Let's hope that we move forward against Arsenal and get these 3 points. But until then, up the fucking toffees, Colin Sean.